statistics. 14% only in natural sciences, 11% in engineering and innovation. Such grim statistics, so low. What do you make of this?
Indeed, it's really saddening to see the number of girls actually pursuing science courses as well as pursuing science careers. At UNESCO, we found that the statistics are really terrible. For instance, 1 in 3 researchers are women. That makes up about 35% of the population of scientists are actually women. These grim statistics actually reflects in the way our society encourages girls to pursue sciences. For instance, right from primary school all the way to secondary, all the way now to university, very few girls are actually pursuing science. The reason being is our stereotypes that we have about science. It is a difficult course, it is not meant for women, only boys can do this kind of courses, and hence girls get discouraged along the way. And this is something that we need to break down.
Okay, I hear you. Dr. Evangeline, I'm reading a lot of stereotypes, just borrowing from what Mary has said, that this is a specific set or a specific kind of career courses for men. And I just made a simple joke that, you know, when it comes to career, it's not marriage. It's just, you know, you all go to school, you learn, you're supposed to be accommodated in the job market. These stereotypes, where exactly does it emanate from? Is it from the family setup, the school setup, the job market? Where?
Thank you very much. Yes, there are stereotypes, and the fact that, you know, culturally and for a long time, people believed that actually science is not for women. I remember because I was in the old system, the A-level system, I was a scientist. I did very well in science subjects. But then you were being told, you know, as you go to A-levels, you know, maths, physics, and, you know, chemistry. In fact, they would call it manpower combination.
Really?
Yes. To an extent that when I went for my
wait, maths, chemistry, and physics was called manpower combination. So as a lady, you find yourself there, you feel a bit off.
Yes. And indeed, I tried to evade that when I went for my A-levels. I wanted to do biology, chemistry, and mathematics, because again, there was a talk that physics was very tough. But because I had done well, I was compelled by the headmistress then. And she said, you know, Eva, you need to do physics. Because not so many girls wanted to do physics. Because, again, of the stereotype. They believed, you know, and we were made to believe, or socialized to believe, that, you know, these are men or boys, you know, courses. But I ended up, yes, being a teacher of physics and mathematics. And I can tell you that I've mentored a number of girls, and the fact that, you know, they saw me, you know, teaching physics as a lady, then that impacted a number of them. So it was cultural, but it's changing. Yes, even some parents, actually, they discourage their girls. Actually, yesterday, I interacted with one of my former students who did very well. She did science, she did economics, and she was telling me that when, because I taught in secondary schools as a, you know, physics teacher, mathematics teacher, and then I became a principal of a school. And I mentored quite a number of girls, and she was telling me, she actually came to say, to greet me, and she was telling me, you know, you mentored me. And in my previous, you know, high school, because she joined, I think, in Form 3 and 4, she wasn't doing well in mathematics, but when she came and saw that I was actually teaching mathematics and physics, that motivated her. And when she started getting higher scores, you know, she told me when she went home, her mother could not believe it. She said, no, the teachers must have given you marks, you know. You did not get the right.
So even the mother does not believe.
The mother did not believe that she could actually excel, you know, in mathematics.
I hear you.
Yes, so parents also have a lot to do. the fact that, you know, they believe, and especially women, I think we need to come out of this and actually encourage our girls. And even, you know, the fathers also, they have a lot to do, because they tend to say, you know, science is for boys and arts are for girls.
I hear you.
Yes.
And we see that a lot, especially when you look at when results are released, both KCP, KCSE, and the percentage of men or the percentage of boys who would actually have a high grade in both math, sciences, and physics outweighs in a bigger capacity that of women. But something else I want you to touch on a bit, Dr. that is in regards to parents, because there's quite a lot we keep saying about the job market also, and we'll come to that in a bit. We keep saying about the teachers, but just borrowing from what Dr. is saying, you realize also it comes from the parents. From your own personal experience, how did you manage to just jump the hurdles to be at a point where you are a whole doctor in your own right and a woman in STEM in your capacity of leadership?
Indeed, it's been quite a journey, but I credit my success to my mother.
You have a different story.
Yes, indeed I do. Who actually reached class 4, and she was stopped by her father to further her further education. And the father said, no, you need to stay home so that your brother can go to school. So when she got married, she vowed unto herself that all her girls will actually end up finishing school. At that time, she knew that, you know, only if she can finish from 4, that will be enough. However, when she married my father, who was an engineer, he was a civil engineer, she actually realized that my daughters, and of course her sons as well, they can actually pursue the line the father is also doing. And hence she encouraged, I had 3 sisters plus me 4, she actually encouraged us all to pursue, you know, science-related courses. Do well in physics, do well in biology, do well in chemistry, do well in mathematics. You know, Swahili, history, and others, she said it's very easy because you can learn those in books, but for the others you have to go to a laboratory, do an experiment, get to understand what the process is about. And that is what science is about. It's about the study of the natural, biological, and the physical world we live in. It's about testing hypotheses and then finding answers. And she knew that through science, and she really admired medical doctors, particularly women. She knew that for them to make medicine, they must do it in a laboratory. So therefore, she really wanted me to pursue even medicine. Although I didn't get to go to that level, I went into the agricultural and climate change field, but I did manage to get a PhD in sciences. So she's actually very proud, although she's passed away, but she's very proud.
That's why you're calling you Doctor, because you have doctor.
I have a PhD, yes, indeed.
Same to Dr. Eva. But again, there's really something also quite interesting, and I want you to address it, Dr. Eva. This in regards to also just where you're coming from, UNESCO. Talk to me a bit about what you're doing in terms of programs for this girls since 2014, and also how it has cut across and what you've managed to do in terms of just changing the mindset of these young girls.
Thank you very much. On realizing the gaps that exist in terms of, you know, equity and equality, the fact that girls and women, we have few of them at the top, and they tend to dwindle, while in primary, and you see girls doing well, probably you may not notice any difference at the primary level. As you go to secondary also, almost all the schools, they provide a science subject. And you may find some girls doing well in sciences and in mathematics, but they don't end up, you know, doing the sciences or the engineering at the university. Or probably they don't get enough grades, you know, to get to those courses, engineering courses. So UNESCO noticed that gap, and in 2014 we started, of course, the UNESCO and here in Kenya, and the government agencies, the Kenya National Commission for UNESCO, where I am the Secretary General and the CEO, and also another agency called NACOSTI, National Commission for Science and Technology and Innovation. So we partnered with UNESCO, and we started holding STEM camps, you know, for girls. And this is where we bring together girls, usually the average, you know, performing students, and we put them in a camp for 1 week. And then we bring STEM role models. And UNESCO has been very supportive in this. And usually, of course, we bring the women STEM role models so that the girls can see women who have excelled in sciences and demystify the myth that actually sciences are for men and boys. So we put them there, and then they are mentored. They are also given experiences, you know, to interact with, you know, environment in higher education, visiting higher education institutions. And the same time, we also, you know, they are provided with an opportunity to visit even industries. And so it's a holistic approach. And they are also encouraged to come up with solutions, you know, to imagine over problem and come up with solutions. And even recently, we have introduced, you know, coding and robotics, you know, the in thing, the technology, indeed. And girls also are getting very, very interested in these fields. So this is the STEM, you know, camps that we have been holding. And during COVID time, because we could not hold the, you know, the STEM camps. Actually, together UNESCO, with the UNESCO and government, we came up with you know, an online, a digital, you know, kind of a mentorship program. And we are happy that actually this KBC partnered with us. And we were able indeed again to continue the mentorship program, having, you know, role models, lady, you know, scientists coming in, and you know, speaking to, of course, reaching not just girls this time and the boys. And I can tell you over 12 million, you know, students were reached in this.
During that COVID time?
Yeah, during COVID.
All right.
And there was also a platform that we had that, you know, they could actually ask questions in STEM.
All right.
And then, you know, they would be, you know, answered in case they had any questions.
I hear you. And of course, I'll come to you so that you can tell us in terms of data. I know you talked about 12 million during COVID, but also just since 2014, how many students have you managed to reach, particularly girls, and across which schools? You'll tell us in a short while. But again, there's something that we had talked a bit about, and this is in regards to those students, those girls that perform very well in sciences, whether it's from primary level spanning all the way to high school, but then they would get discouraged. They are told, yes, you've got a good grade in mathematics, in science, in physics, in biology, you name it, but then you won't do engineering. Think about something in hospitality. Think about something in sociology, psychology, and you'd wonder, but you pass master. Why should they be told not to do it?
Most of the reason is the stereotype that we have about a woman in general. Because science is involving. It requires a lot of time.
And a woman can get involved?
Let me explain. It is quite involving. It requires a lot of investments of time, a lot of reading, a lot of research. And usually you find that, you know, women, when they reach, let's say after high school, they go into college, they end up becoming mothers, they get married, and they find that combining now the science bit as well as managing the household becomes quite a task for them. Either they are told to step out of the science subject, or themselves they feel now pressurized because they have the motherhood to take care of as well as, you know, to take care of the science. So themselves they end up dropping out. But there's no need of doing that. We can do both. We can raise children together with the men. The men need to be actually involved in raising children so that women can pursue their science careers. There's no reason of saying you can't be a mother and be a scientist. You can be both. But we do need men to help us also to raise our children in the home, do domestic chores as well, so that women can spend time in the lab, do research, be able to, you know, access the latest refereed journals to make reference to the research that they're doing. In that way, women don't have to drop out at all. We don't have to be told that, you know, that must is for men. No. we can do it as well. Yes.
So also gender roles comes to play.
Yes, exactly. Gender roles really play a big role. We are still in a society where women are expected, to take care of the home, clean the home, take care of the children and everything, as well as, pursue your career. That becomes quite tasking for a woman. And that's why now we are hoping that the men can take some of the gender roles within the household to support the women. And then to add on to what my colleague, Dr. Evelyn, has mentioned about the number of girls they are mentored, UNESCO also has a program with the L'Oreal Foundation, a 25-year program where we've been able to mentor 120 women scientists, 5 of whom have actually gone ahead to win Nobel Prize. So that is quite an achievement. And currently we have a program with the Intel. Intel is supporting almost 200 girls in Kenya and others in Uganda, Tanzania, and Rwanda to close the digital divide. And this one we are doing at high school, particularly targeting Form 2 and Form 3, so that as they are thinking about the courses to take in their universities, we start mentoring them now. The mentoring program my colleague Dr. Njoka mentioned, they start thinking about, writing down this physics, chemistry, and biology courses, so that those are the ones that they can gear towards achieving high marks and getting into university. Yes.
I want to come to Dr. Njoka in a bit, but before that, now we were on that gender roles beat. And I was just telling you earlier, even in conventional careers, whereby you'd actually see both 50% of both genders are present, and that's how it is. But you just get an employer saying that this particular role, it is the male person who will do it. And you'd wonder, why does that even happen? Both of you went to school, both of you could even be having the same level of experience and expertise, both of you are equally good, but just for some reason they think, let the male person do this. And so then how much more when it comes to STEM courses? Just because...
No, I don't understand. As I did mention,
how much more?
I know, it is a hurdle that both of us genders needs to break, particularly the male gender.
Right.
The men need to break away the stereotype that women cannot do sciences. No, even in our, as you mentioned, the workplace.
Yes.
There is no need to say that a man can do this and a woman can do this within the workplace. We are all trained. We all went through the same courses.
Exactly.
Why can't a woman do that? For instance, if you are told that, you need, as a journalist, you need to go cover a war zone area, and then you are told, no, it's the man to go. Or a woman, you are told, you need to go into the ocean, deep dive into the ocean to collect some of the sediment there to study about the ocean currents and all that. Then you are told, no, a man is able to do that. Yet we are all trained that. So it's breaking the stereotypes that we have in our minds and our cultures. Yes.
And definitely we'll talk about training momentarily, even for teachers and even employers in a short while, because it's one story to really impart the girls and create awareness for them and train them, but then they get the job space and they realize it's a different story altogether.
Indeed.
Dr. Njoka, in terms of numbers, since 2014, how many girls are we talking about? How many schools are we talking about in terms of impact so far? And there are plans to expand that moving forward?
Thank you very much, Doreen. Since 2014, we have mentored over 2,000 girls in about 160 schools, I think 161, and across 41 counties. And in fact, right now we are planning, to roll out another STEM camp for students, in Central, because that's an area that really we have not covered, that region. So this is bound to continue. We are also looking at also other partners to come in. You can see now that we are introducing coding, we're introducing robotics. We shall need, more partners to come on board on this. So the issue of the teachers also, the STEM mentorship program also is targeting teachers, because there should be gender responsive, pedagogies. My colleague here, Mary, talks about, there are challenges, specific challenges for women. And like you may find a girl proning maybe to breaking, a beaker, or a test tube because of the, you know, the biological factors that she's going through. She could be in her menses, and she's prone, you know, to actually for accidents. So teachers need to understand that, you know, there will be mood swings, you know, for female students, for girls, and really, you know, they need to be understood. And from my experience, when I went to primary school, I actually went to 2 schools, lower primary and the upper primary.
Yes.
Now, my lower primary, and during our time, the teachers would be beaten a lot, you know, when you are late, and the teachers were quite rough. Indeed, it's not like now when there is a Children's Act, and you know, pupils or students have their own rights. So I recall our mathematics teacher would come and you know, he tell everyone, you know, can you stand up, and you only sit down after you've done a mathematical table. You see 4 times 1 is 4, 4 times 2. In case you make a mistake, you're beaten. So I used to fear. I never did well in mathematics. My highest mark when I was in the lower primary was 40%. And then I changed. I joined to, you know, a mission school, and we had Consolata sisters. And I found love among the teachers. You know, I found, you know, a school where you are not beaten when you make a mistake. You're encouraged to think you can do better. You can do better than that, Eva. Then, do you know, I shot and I started getting 80%, and within no time I was getting 100%, you know, in mathematics.
Yes.
And in sciences, you know, my science teacher was also very, very good. And she was very smart, Mrs. Muni from Embu. And she did very, very, you know, we were well mentored. And the potential in me was actually optimized. So teachers have a great role to play when it comes to actually even teaching sciences and teaching women also. So this STEM mentorship program has a component of teaching teachers you know, in gender responsive, you know, pedagogy.
I hear you.
Yeah.
So then,
And actually, to add on to what she has said,
yes.
in the mentorship program, not only we tell them about to pursue the STEM courses, we also teach them about leadership and negotiation skills. As you had mentioned about, you know, you're at a workplace and your boss says, oh, this job will need to be done by a man and not a woman. Building this leadership skill and negotiation skills for a girl, then she can be able to stand up to the boss and say, hey, look, I do have the skills, I am trained for this, I'm also able to do this job. So combining the STEM courses and all that with the leadership and negotiation skills, then we build the capacity of a girl to be able to lead in a workplace, to become a leader, to become a scientist. Yes.
But the practicability of it, Dr. How then do you do that? Because you actually get a good number of cases where women will still say, it's difficult for me in the workplace. And we haven't even gone to STEM, just categorically. So I'm just trying to say this to just try and make a comparison that when it comes to STEM, it's even worse because of already the enculturation that we've gone through as a people, as a society. So this negotiation skills, some would even take it as then you're becoming too proud. You think you know more. You have just, some would even tell you, we're just giving you the space. Pushy. You know, how do you do this?
It's actually a very difficult situation for a woman.
Yeah.
But me, taking my example,
yes,
I've been able to push through a lot of the hurdles that I've faced in the workplace, and I've demanded for what I feel is my right. If there is a promotion to be done, you've done your performance review and know that exactly this is what I've achieved and I need this promotion. So I've had a discussion with my bosses, my supervisor and all that. And it's been easier when you have a one-on-one with your supervisor, explain your situation and all that. And then as well, rely on fellow women in guidance. Learning is a process. And as we are headed toward a technological world right now, as she mentioned, artificial intelligence is coming in, coding is coming on. As a woman, even as a scientist, I have to continue building my skills. I need to go into artificial intelligence right now. That is where the world is headed to. So combining the additional courses you take, learning from other women, getting mentors. Even if you are 60 years old, you need a mentor. There are women whom you can rely on to tell you, hey, how to approach this is through this process. So as women alone, we can build each other. And myself, I do rely on mentors. I do have women mentors whom, depending on the situation, I can go to and they can seek advice.
Well said.
Yes.
Now that we're talking about training, where you sit, Dr. Eva, when you look at CBC, even as you talk about teacher training and women getting into these spaces, we're looking at CBC as one of those curriculum that you'd identify talent from the onset, I should say, from way back. You know, at PP level. Do you think that where we are heading to as a country, as far as education reforms is concerned, we might perhaps increase these figures from 14%, 11% to at least even 20, 30? Does it look like it?
Yeah, there's hope, and the fact that there are more opportunities in learning institutions to interact, you know, to play with the environment, you know, to interact with science, you know, equipment. To play, you know, experiential learning. Yes, we shall have more women. And I think women are now believing in themselves. And as Dr. Mary has said, actually, we need mentorship from other women. And I also would want to encourage the women to believe in themselves, to be assertive. And I remember when I was doing my PhD in UK, there was a course that was being offered for women. You know, in the University of Durham was offering a course, Assertiveness for Women. You know, and they were there, you know, telling us, in this field, it's a competitive field, and women need to assert themselves. So even in science, even engineering, we need, if I can use decolonize, to decolonize our mind that actually we can't make it. We have actually to come out of that, believe in ourselves, that there isn't differences. Yes, we may have differences in biology, but today I think girls are having more opportunities. When we were growing up, girls did all the, you know, the house chores, you know, cooking, while the boys were playing outside, interacting with the nature, looking at grasshoppers, playing with them, you know, and they would be interested from and socialize from when they are young, that actually they want to interact with the grasshoppers, they want to catch the birds, while the girls were in the kitchen and they didn't have similar opportunities. But today, I think the opportunities are there. Girls have equal opportunities, so there is no reason. And this CBC, yes, the fact that it's quite practical for everyone, I foresee we are going to have more girls in science, in engineering.
I see Dr. Mary agreeing literally.
Yes.
Indeed, I do agree. The period of time, I went through the 844 system. And it was supposed to be a little bit more practical, but I see the CBC is going to be a little, you know, gearing students towards more learning, interacting with the environment, both boys and girls. And despite us saying that parents are not pushing girls into science, I think most of them are now trying to see that they need to push their girls also to go beyond just being, you know, mothers in the house, cleaning and cooking and all that. Most parents are actually, and the beauty is that now most parents are having 1 or 2 children. You find you only have girls. So if you only have girls in the house, what are you going to do? Are you going to tell them to just become housewives? No. They do have the capacity to become medical doctors, to become engineers. I do have my niece right now. She is so interested in becoming an astronaut. So I am helping us. As you know, there is this James Webb telescope that was just launched, and it's bringing these beautiful images from outer space. So every week when I'm with her, I show her the images. She learns what is happening in the cosmos out there, and she wants to become a medical doctor to actually go into space as an astronaut. So I am being mentored by people, women in my field, and I'm as well mentoring younger girls along the way to pursue science and to think science as something that they're able to do in future.
I hear you. And we have like about, is it 9 or 8 minutes to exit this space, and I wouldn't want us to do that without talking about the employers. Why? Because you just talked about your needs, and Atari has also given us numerous examples.
Yes.
And we are here sitting in this set talking about training from the early stages,
Yes.
even touching on what CBC is doing,
Yes.
even touching on teacher training.
Yeah.
But it's one story, as I said earlier, to do all these things to this, young girl. But after it's all said and done, they go to the job market and they're told, you still can't start from there. Regardless of the fact that all of you are equally qualified with your male counterparts, the level of training is the same. Even the level of experience is the same. But how much training also do we need to start thinking about as far as employers is concerned? Let me start with you, Dr. Mary, on that note.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Indeed, at UNESCO, we believe in equitable, inclusive employment and equal opportunity for everybody. And at UNESCO, we don't look at genders. We look at your qualification. You're a scientist, you're an educationist, you're a culturalist, because UNESCO is United Nations Education, Scientific and Cultural Organization.
Yeah.
So we, together with NATCOM, where Dr. Njoka is the Secretary General, we support governments to ensure that there's equal education for all the girls, as well as providing opportunities for teachers and employers as well, to ensure that everybody has an equal opportunities. Even the Constitution of Kenya states that, we have equal and fair society for all Kenyans. But as you mentioned, at the employment space, there is a problem of, thinking, oh, women cannot do this, women cannot do this, or a man is promoted and a woman is not promoted. We still need to change the mindset of employers as well. We are breaking into a digital world, and this digital world, as everybody says, it's actually the fifth revolution, digital revolution. It's actually creating an equal space for everybody. You learn coding, you learn artificial intelligence, you are able to do innovations, do startups and everything. It's given everybody an equal opportunity to stand up for themselves. So there's no reason, I don't see why an employer should actually favor a male than a female employee. There's no reason for that. And we'll continue with the NATCOM to build the leadership skills of girls, with the CBC across Kenya, and I'm sure other countries are also shaping and changing their education policies, the educational curriculum, to be acceptable for girls. So in the near future, I'm sure, maybe by the time we reach Kenya's Vision 2030, we shall have equal number of girls and boys in science subjects.
And you just have 7 years to get there.
Yeah, we have 7 years to get there.
There's a lot to do. There's so much to say about equal opportunities, equity and not equality. We need to also do trainings in that regard. But what more, what extra can we do? Because you also realize, for this, and I would say even in that regard, for employers, and this actually does cut across, by the way, it does cut across. There's also that enculturation, how someone has grown to the point they are, and they still have that belief. And you see, these ones are adults. How do you start that training process so that then it does not become a story of, we say, get into these spaces as a woman, get into these courses, into these careers, but then you get to the job market and there's nothing really much you can do with your science and mathematics and physics paper. What more, Dr.
I think we need to encourage women to go for those jobs.
Just go for it.
Roles, yeah. I know there's sometimes a lot of discouragement for women, and because in leadership positions, these are not easy. There are challenges that come with leadership, especially balancing, family, taking care of the family, and taking care of institutions. It's quite challenging, and also some jobs are quite demanding. They demand traveling, they demand going to the field, and so many women may shun, getting leadership positions. But we would want to encourage them, and for UNESCO and for the Kenya National Commission for UNESCO, we try, to mentor, to actually even talk to, like we've been having a training, a capacity building for women journalists, let's say, and supporting them, listening to them. What are the challenges that they have, such that they would, feel they are not safe going to report in the field.
Okay.
And we mentor them, and of course also creating awareness even to the employers.
I hear you.
That the women journalists, they need security when they're in the field. Well, while the two men can go in the field and not really look for security, as a woman journalist,
Yes.
I need security.
I hear you.
Because I'm prone to more challenges, isn't it?
Okay.
There are risks out there which are a bit different from the risks that, you know, may be prone to a man.
Well said.
So, and this is what we call the equity, actually.
Yeah.
Knowing that for women to excel, they need this kind of support. For men to excel, you know, they need this kind of support.
Okay.
I think this is the realization that needs to come to the employers, actually. And yes, we talk about inclusivity in UNESCO. And also in UNESCO, I think there are quite a number of ladies.
Yeah.
In our organization, we have very many ladies.
Thank you. Well
working.
said.
Thank you.
And I can see director already in student. When you see the director, it's time to wrap up. But
Yes.
just in 30 seconds, very quickly, Daktari, International Day for Women in Science is on Saturday.
Yes.
Very quickly, what would you want them to know?
Yes, annually, this is the 8th time since 2015. We have on February 11th, International Day for Women and Girls in Science. We're going to host it at Sasumbi Girls, where we're going to have over 3,000 girls all coming together. And then they're going to receive mentorship from female mentors in the different fields of STEM. And we are hoping that everyone within that community in Homa Bay will be able to join us. And this program is actually sponsored by Intel in conjunction with the UNESCO and NatWem.
All right.
So, and then on February 10th, we have a webinar as well. It will be online, and we're having almost 8 different female mentors talking about their field and encouraging girls. So I would encourage schools to log into that webinar so that they can get to hear the opportunities they have in science.
Well said.
Thank
I
you.
mean, there's a lot we could have talked about, but we are strapped for time and you have to cap it at this particular point. Nonetheless, I have been speaking to Dr. Evangeline Joka, Secretary General, Kenya National Commission at UNESCO, and also Dr. Mary Nyasimi, National Program Officer for Science at UNESCO. What has definitely formed center of our conversation is looking at women in STEM, what we can do to level the playing field for both men and women. Good place to end this conversation. We pave way for News Check coming in next. Till tomorrow, good morning.
How come it's so sour?
It's sour? Weird. Mine was sour this morning, too. I still don't know what it means.
He's such a weirdo. Am I his guinea pig?
Oh no.
That day when you broke the glass.
Broke what glass?
Nothing. Forget it. Mr. Bai.
I changed all of this.
What do you want? I really need to speak with you. I have a question for you.
Lakini naona hii heshima itakuja kumalizwa na huyu kijana wako Calvin. Mwambie Calvin aachane na msichana wangu Lucy.
Nimegonga mtu zawadi. nimegonga mtu na gari.
Ati?
I swear, she came out of nowhere. Na sikumuona. I think amekufa.
What?
Amri kutoka juu inasema kila mtu lazima amalize kazi yake by midday. Sawa sawa?
Ai, uongo. Kono na namba yangu peke yako kwa hiyo ofisi wewe.
Well, that's a good idea. Kwa sababu Louis nimemgoogle.